Now that we know how to find the area of full circles, we're going to look at finding the area of semicircles and quarter circles and doing a wee bit of problem solving involving area and circles. So the first example asks us to find the area of this semicircle, and we have the blue semicircle and the length that's marked on it is this 30 millimeters going across here. So that represents the diameter. So if the diameter is 30 millimeters, then the radius is 15 millimeters. That means that 15 millimeters is the length and the dimension that's going into our formula. So it's the same formula, even though we are looking at the area of a semicircle. So we're still using A equals pi times r squared, which is 3.14 times 15 squared. That works out to be 706.5. Remember, it's just going into your calculator, so you don't have to try and work that out in your head or in a sum. But 706.5 square millimeters would be the area of that full circle. But we don't have a full circle, we only have half of a circle. So we have to divide the answer by 2. So the final answer for the area of the semicircle works out at 353.25. and our units are square millimeters. So this example is a little bit different to the ones that we've seen before, but largely we're just going to progress in the same way, and then at the end we've got one step that's a little bit different. So we're still using the formula A equals pi times the radius squared, and this time our radius is 5 centimeters because you can see that the radius goes from the centre of the circle to the end of the circle like this 5 centimeters does here. So we substitute into our formula 3.14 times 5 squared, and that gives us an answer of 78.5 square centimeters. But 78.5 square centimeters would represent the total area of that circle. So if we had this bit in here as well. What we actually have is 3/4 of that circle, because if I just draw the diagram here, this is a quarter, this is a quarter, and this is a quarter. So in total, we have 3/4 of the full circle. And that means that we have to find 3/4 of 78.5. The way to do that is just to divide it by 4 and then times it by 3. And when you do that, the area comes out to be 58.875 square centimetres. And now I know the question hasn't asked us to round this answer to any given number of decimal places or significant figures, but what I am going to do is round it to 1 decimal place, just because I find that giving an answer with 3 decimal places just looks a little bit messy. So rewrite it as 58.9 square centimetres, and in brackets I'm just going to write to 1 decimal place just to make it clear what it is that I've rounded to. The third and final example asks us to find the area of this compound shape. So we're going to do a full lesson on this next week, but a compound shape is just 2 or more shapes that are stuck together. And to find the area of a compound shape, you find the areas of all the individual parts and then add it together. In this compound shape, we have a rectangle that I'm going to call area 1 and a semicircle that I'm going to call area 2. And thankfully, we know how to find the area of both of these shapes. So area 1, which is the area of our rectangle, is length times breadth. The length is 25 and the breadth is 20. And we multiply them together. Area 1 is 500 square centimetres. Then for area 2, that's the area of our semicircle. Our formula is pi times the radius squared. So 3.14 times, and our radius in this question goes from here up to the edge, and that's 12.5 centimetres, you'll see that that's also the same as half of this length here, which is 25, because this length along the bottom and this length here are the same. So 12.5 squared, and that just goes into your calculator. So the answer comes out to be 490.625. But we know that we have to half that answer because we only have a semicircle. So we're going to divide it by 2. So area 2 comes out at 245.3125 square centimetres. And again, I'm going to round that to 2 decimal places just because 4 decimal places on an answer looks a little bit messy. So area 2, we say is 245.31 centimetres squared. I'm just going to put in brackets that that's to 2 decimal places. So the total area of this compound shape is just what you get when you take area 1 and add it on to area 2. So we're saying 500 plus 245.31, which is 745.31 square centimetres. So just make sure that even though you're following through this video and watching it, that on your calculator you're able to plug in these calculations and get the same answers, because that's probably the thing that's going to hold you back the most with these types of questions, is if you're not able to put them into your calculator properly. Even if you think you're doing the right sum, if you're pressing the wrong buttons, then you're going to get the wrong answer. And it's a little bit harder to tell with these types of questions if your answer is obviously wrong. Okay, so work through the examples on your calculator on your own. Make sure that you know where all the numbers are coming from, and if not, get back in touch with me as quickly as possible.